people of action united for good to create lasting impacts. Providing our invocation today, Ken Grossman, the owner of Executive Image Clothier.
Is this an invitation or a celebration of Indiana's championship? We're all in good spirits today. At any rate, today's prayer, it's actually a tribute to Steve's father, Bernard, the founder of Republic Bank. My dad, Lee Grossman, was fortunate to be a male high school classmate of Bernard's in the 1940s. That's 80 years ago. Bernard was a special man in many ways. One of his favorite sayings was, "Be nice to people from all walks of life." Another Bernard quote that I love is, "It doesn't cost a nickel to be nice to somebody." Because of his stature in the community, Bernard was profiled at least 2 times on community forums. Once on KET, and again on Kurt Jacobs' Moxie Talk podcast. He started each interview the same way. It was an explanation of a Jewish relic called the tzedakah box. Without a question, he would always bring his tzedakah box to the interview and talk about the significance of it. Bernard eloquently explained his parents in his family home and in the homes of his adult children, there was a tzedakah box. He described its purpose as a symbol of the importance of sharing and caring. For Jewish families, it's customary to put aside money every week in the tzedakah box for the purpose of tikkun olam, or to repair the world. It reflects the attitude to effect righteousness within the world. And this tzedakah box happens to be the one that my wife and I share. I couldn't get the one from the Tragers. It's a value that Steve and his colleagues at Republic Bank still hold dear. In Rotary, we express these same values with our motto, service above self, and the 4-way test that we recite every week, along with the importance of giving. The Hebrew blessing of tzedakah is quite simple. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al ha-tzedakah. The transliteration of that is, "Blessed art thou, Lord our God, Master of the universe, who has sanctified us with thy commandments and commanded us about the tzedakah." Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Shannon. Now the lead in the pledge and our Rotary 4-way test is Christian Dixie Pitchell, board member at Louisville Arena Authority and Waterfront Botanical Gardens, and a brand new Rotarian. I'll be officially inducted in a few minutes.
All right, our pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
4-way test.
Is the truth, fair to all concerned, colloquial goodwill and better friendships, will be beneficial to all concerned.
Thank you, Dixie. Relax. Our mayor officially kicked off the local celebration of America 250 yesterday, so throughout the year, Rotary will be participating a little bit in celebrating our great country. Rotarians, if you have a guest with you, come on up and introduce them, and guests, please stand when they do.
Okay, I'm Vernon Foster, the Assistant Dean of the College of Business at the University of Louisville. It is a privilege to introduce 2 of my guests today. I have Amy Henley. Dr. Amy Henley is our new Dean of the College of Business, coming from the University of North Dakota. Amy, if you'll please stand and welcome her. And a dear, dear friend for many, many decades, and a fellow Rotarian over in North Carolina, was Dean at Wake Forest, is now Dean Emeritus at the University of Louisville. And Charlie Moyer, if you'll please stand.
I'm Julie Schmidt, and I'm so pleased that Jennifer Adams, who's with KET, is with me today. Jennifer, there's Jennifer. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Anne-Marie Swerve with the University of Louisville. I have two guests with me today. The first is Ms. Kelly Watkins. She is an international business and intercultural communications consultant. And he is a U of L accounting major in his final semester. He's currently interning with Young Friends, and he is an Eagle Scout. Comes from a family of 400.
Good morning. I am here in Elisa Gray's stead. I'd like to introduce Miss Savannah Menendez, and she is the Development Director for the Humane Society. We're grateful to have you here today. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, President Ken. Walt Kuno here. And I have my longest friend, my oldest friend, and dearest friend in Louisville, Billy B. And he's here for this. And Steve, he promised me he wouldn't heckle.
Hi, my name is Courtney Evans. I'm with Jewish Family and Career Services, and my guest today is Dr. David Fink. He's the CEO of Jewish Family and Career Services.
Hello, I'm Leanne Alsop with St. Joseph Children's Home. My guest is Kelly Carrico. She is the Director of Mission Advancement for Best Buddies in Kentucky.
President Ken, fellow Rotarians, I'm Kevin Fields, CEO of the ICCC Board Director, and I'm proud to introduce my very special guest today, Dr. Geneva A. Price. She is the principal with GASP Consulting Group, and Dr. Price is also a former leader in education at Jefferson County Public Schools, as well as here at the University of Louisville, where she led the Nigerian Center for Academic Excellence. So please join me in welcoming her.
President Kim, fellow Rotarians and guests, Barbara Sexton-Smith, President-elect of the Rotary Club of Louisville. And I don't really have guests other than Mac McClure has gone AWOL, and his guest is seated right next to me, Cordell Lawrence. Please stand up. I've known Cordell for many years. He's a former member of this club, his duties took him to Frankfurt, but he serves as our Chief Financial Officer of the Louisville Waterfront Development Corporation. Thank you, Cordell. And my second introduction is longtime friend and guest of Delene Taylor and mine. Please stand, Todd Moore. Todd Moore is the founder and CEO of Dream Academy of Excellence, a Christian school. And we
Good afternoon. Johnny Atkins, Rotary member. I am introducing Jasmine Presley. A few things about Jasmine. She is the CEO of Presley Post. She's a mom. She's a board member over several things. She also helped co-found Legacy Week and Mind Fest, which is a mental health festival here in Louisville. And she holds a small day job as legislative aide to District 9 Councilperson Andrew Owens. Presley.
Tall guy. It's my pleasure, Nancy Denault, new Rotarian, and it's my pleasure to introduce Abby Bauer from Access Care. She's a business development manager.
President Ken, I have three guests here. First, I'm proud to introduce my brother, H. Philip Grossman, Grossman & Green Law Firm. Alan Rosenberg, retired CPA, and Wayne High School, the New York Life Insurance. He's put his application in to become a member.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Steve, I want to say, before I introduce my guest, one of my favorite things with your father, I go to see him, and he'd always say, how's the family? We'd always talk about family first, because he would say, if family's good, I'm good. So, remember that he was a cherished friend of mine. I'm pleased to announce my guest is Karen Fallon, back in the back of the room. She's our Senior Development Officer at Carver House. So come see Karen. Thank you.
Okay, President Ken, fellow Rotarians. I'm Jeremy Bokerka. I'm with Miranda Construction. I don't really have a guest today. I've got 9 of them on my table. Delaney emailed earlier this week looking for a sponsor for today for some guests from Silver Creek High School, and seemed like a really good fit. I'm a firm supporter of the Youth and Education Committee, and this just felt like a really good fit. And potential employers in the room, I've had a chance to get to know these guys just briefly. You should come talk. We're talking about some high caliber individuals here. And I'm going to turn it over to their teacher, Jennifer.
President Ken, thank you so much, Jeremy and Miranda Construction, for sponsoring our students. We're grateful to be here today. I'd like to introduce them. In my 39 years of teaching, they are some of the finest students I've ever had the pleasure of teaching. Addison Lacey, Brady Day, Quinn Wheatley, Brian Graham, Alex Smith, and Evan Seal. Thank you so much.
Thank you to all guests for joining us. Steve, I guess you're popular. That's a record for most guests. John Bush, I saw you earlier. You stand there in the back. Okay, after the meeting, John's going to be, what we're doing is the What is Rotary table. So if you want to learn more about us, please do. Dan, I'm glad you're joining. And Jasmine, I think you're joining or already joined. Yes. Okay, great. And Jeremy, thank you. I appreciate it. We appreciate Miranda Construction for doing this. And you're going to have another group next week. So if somebody else would like to sponsor next week, just see the link. Our next Rotary Happy Hour will be Tuesday, February 10th, 4:30 to 6 at the Mashup Food Hall in Newville. Let Mackenzie Wright know if you plan to attend. And please join us Wednesday, February 11th for our Rotary Enrichment Fair at the Kentucky Humane Society, Sam Swope Pet TLC on Speedley Drive. Stop by any time between 10 and 1. There'll be free lunch from Sauceritas beginning at 11:30. And as part of this service project, you can make enrichment treats and toys to keep animals stimulated, help with packing adoption folders and prepping syringes for our vet team, and learn about the new animal and community campus. Great way to have fun while serving, helping animals, meeting other Rotarians, and making a direct impact in our community. Thursday, February 12th, we'll be hosting the Mayor's annual State of the City address to our club at the Kentucky Performing Arts Center. We'll have a slightly later start time this year. We'll not provide lunch, but we will have a grab-and-go charcuterie, snack cup, and cookie, and have coffee and water as well. And be sure to register early. We expect to reach max capacity, and there'll be no walk-ins. Registration is open. Rotary Day at the Down, tickets are on sale. We'll be back at the Silks Balcony on Wednesday, April 29th. Scan the QR code for more information and purchase tickets. And look for the link on our website homepage. And thank you to those who have already submitted your $100 or more annual contribution to our local Rotary Fund, which provides financial support for our many service projects. Cliff Elgin has donated that bottle on the table for the first private label bourbon from Jackson Purchase Distillery, signed by Master Distiller Craig B. We'll draw the winner from the names of all who have contributed $100 or more since July 1 at next week's meeting. And you can scan the QR code on the screen or on your table and give cash or a check to Delaney. Speaking of Delaney, this is her new license plate, the promoting piece with Rotary. You can get one too, if you care to do it. Go to DMV, get her at county clerk, wherever you get these from.
From your county clerk's office, and they will order it for you, and then you can go pick it up.
Awesome. And if you haven't already, follow us online on Facebook, LinkedIn, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Now, Barbara, come on up, our president-elect, to introduce some new members.
All right, thank you, Ken, and distinguished guests. Now, I'm going to invite to the podium to join me in order Nancy Gannott, Jasmine Presley, and Kristen Dixie Pichelle. while they're making their way up here, for those of you who've not seen this induction ceremony before, there was a 2-part, 4-hour training video. Did you watch that, Nancy?
No, ma'am.
Ah, okay. So now we have to line up in order. So Jasmine, you'll come, you're second, okay? All right. It's no rhyme or reason this time. I don't know if it was alphabetical by first name, last name. Must have been by middle name. Here we go. So, fellow Rotarians, as you all know, we as a group and a membership, we seek to grow our membership so that we may not only increase our impact here in our club, but to influence others around us throughout the community and our great nation and the world that we inhabit. Now, to our new members, this is such an auspicious occasion. I hope you have friends and family taking photos, so keep smiling so you're not caught off guard. All right, you've been elected to membership in our club because we believe that you possess qualities that will lead you to exemplify the true spirit of Rotary and our 4-way test, which Dixie has already led us in just this morning. Now, you have been admitted not only to the 12th largest Rotary Club on the planet, but to the 10th largest Rotary Club in the United States of America. That's a ooh-ah, y'all. Okay. Now, there are 45,000 clubs around the world, and you will be welcome at any one of those at any time. And when you travel, whether it's to another county, across Jefferson County, or across the globe, I hope that you will visit those clubs, and you can exchange flags. That's a very cool thing you'll learn about in more of your orientations. Now, we hope that you'll participate in our service projects, because that's who we are, service above self. It is my honor to induct you as a new member of the Rotary Club of Louisville. Now, I would like to invite Donnie Atkins to join me here, Melissa Cobb, and Angie Bailey. I hope that you all watched your 1-part, 2.5-hour training video, because you're going to have a role here in just a moment. Yes. Now, the way this works, we're going to start with Nancy Ganote, and Nancy is going to tell you a little bit about herself. Nancy, did they tell you it is about a 30-minute introduction? No. Okay, it is. Okay, it's 1 minute, okay? So you tell all about yourself, and then your sponsor or sponsors are going to step up here next to you with pen in hand. Okay, jump on up here, don't be shy. Okay, on your mark and set, go.
Hi, I'm Nancy Ganote. Lived in Louisville all my life, and I am a senior business technology advisor for Mirazyme, where we help businesses with their IT, everything from projects to managing their IT externally. I am a wife and mother of 3 and proud grandmother of an 18-month-old who I adore. I am a big card football fan, and I love going to the games. Yes, Vernon? We bonded over that. And I am so excited to join the Rotary Club and to be involved with the service projects. I look forward to that as well. From the first time I came here back in October, I felt the warmth in the room, and when I got to know some of the people here and I had already met them before, I was like, oh yeah, if it's good for them, it's definitely good for me. So thank you for having me.
This time, you and Angie step to the right, and you take your place. And Angie, would you please hand her her beautiful pen? Nancy will help you wear your pen and answer questions when people ask you what is it and what is Rotary. All right, next, Jasmine, are you ready? Okay, I need your sponsor, Donnie Atkins, Jasmine Presley.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jasmine Presley, born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm the founder and CEO of the Presley Post, which is a co-working space in downtown Louisville. We offer flexible co-working, meeting, and event spaces for entrepreneurs, small business owners, and corporate teams. I also currently serve as a board member for Play Cousins Collective, supporting culturally rooted family and community care. And also, as Donnie mentioned earlier, founder of Legacy Week, which uplifts wealth, wellness, and culture, and the co-founder of MindFest, which is one of Louisville's mental health festivals, dedicated to awareness and destigmatization. Lastly, I will end with, I graduated from the University of Louisville with a Bachelor of Science in Political Science, and currently serve as a legislative assistant at Metro Council District 9.
All All right, Donnie Atkins will present your pin, and we hope that you'll wear it. Would you all please scoot this way? You need to scoot in close for all these no, this way. This way. Let your right be left and your left be right. Just stand close. Okay, here we go. All right, Chris and Dixie Pichelle, are you ready? Okay, we're going to hear 60 seconds from Dixie, or less. And then, now I love the fact that you want to pull that microphone, because when you did the four-way test in the Pledge of Allegiance, us fellow Rotarians didn't know what to do, because you didn't stand behind the podium. So, you got this. It's going to be all yours, okay? And then Melissa, will you present her in when she's finished? All right, Dixie.
All right, thanks, Barbara. Cannot say no to Barbara Sexton-Smith, I've learned that. I'm Kristen Michelle. My nickname's Dixie, but we'll get into that conversation a little later. 5 years ago, we had an amazing opportunity to join the Republic Bank family. My husband Logan and I are beyond blessed to be part of the Trager family. We have 3 amazing kids and a beautiful grandson, which I absolutely love tremendously. I started out my career in advertising in Detroit. I worked for Fisher Price and Mattel Toys, which is a great place to work if you're having children. After several moves and with my husband in banking, I was lucky enough to be a stay-at-home mom, that is where my volunteering journey began. I'm a huge believer in bloom where you're planted. You can do more in the city if you just get involved. So I kind of took that, as my motto. I am so lucky to be part of the Louisville Arena Authority Board and Waterfront Botanical Gardens Board. I started a reading program at Family Scholar House, and I tutor young children how to read. Incredibly fulfilling. I am thrilled to serve here in Rotary, and I want to make Louisville bigger, better, and stronger. Thanks, guys.
Okay, now we all have 10 seconds to get in front of the podium according to the lean. President Ken will flank on the left and I shall flank on the right, and then President Ken, the podium will be all yours. Front of the podium, front center. Here we go.
Stand next to your sponsor. All right. All right, everybody move this way. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Barbara. Thanks to sponsors, and welcome to our new members. We continue to have several new members. I think we have over 50 since June. Any other new members want to stand and be recognized in the past year? Please do.
You joined in the last 12 months, stand up.
Thank you. All right, we also want to recognize some longer-term members. Marcus Bloom, come on up and tell us about yourself. You're, 3-4 years into this? 3 already, all right.
Hey everybody, as a lot of you already know, I'm the German guy in the club. I'm originally from my hometown, it's called Bielefeld, which is in the German state of North Rhine-Westphalia. And when I was 23 years old, I thought I would do some international experience, like maybe for 2 years. So I did my master's degree in London, in the UK. And when I did that, my mom was worried that I would find a girl from the UK and would stay in London. But, jokes on her, I fell in love with my US classmate instead. So her name is Katie. We lived together in London for a while. We lived together in Berlin. And in 2021, we moved to the US. So first I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina for a second. And then eventually we moved to Louisville. My dad is a Rotarian for, I think, 30 plus years already. And when I came here, he reached out to Walt, who was the president at that time, and was asking what would be a good way to get in touch with my new community. And that's how I joined this club. Professionally, my background is tech and operations consulting. I did consult the German government for a second. The coolest thing I probably did is I worked for Switzerland's largest publishing house. They did like 1 million magazines and newspapers, and we restructured the whole printing production from an in-house factory to a European network with a team of just 3 people. When I came here, I planned on doing something similar here as well, just like do consulting again. But somehow during like me switching towns, I got involved in a lot of like little projects that grew up over the while. So I'm in a kind of a weird position that I like work for a startup in my hometown and work for a non-profit up in Sellersburg, and it is something between operations and IT consulting. To end maybe on a personal note, the most exciting thing in my life right now is that me and my wife are expecting our first kid in June, so that's a whole new thing. And let me tell you, like, moving to a different country and everything is like a little bit of worries compared to that you're suddenly responsible for a little human. That's a whole new thing to wrap my head around. And biggest struggle in my life is that my growth swing I cannot get from the inside, but I'm always coming from the outside. So if anybody can help me with that, or wants to know which German soccer team to support, or need some tech support, reach out to me. I'm happy to help you. Thank you guys.
Appreciate you, Marcus. Now I'd like to welcome to the podium one of the best darn presidents ever, Julie Schmitz. He's the Senior Director of External Affairs at KET, a Paul Harris Fellow, +1. Just a great person.
Dixie, I'm glad you pulled this down. It was up here. Well, good afternoon, Rotarians and multiple guests. We're so glad to have everyone here, and please come back. We'd love to have you back. I'm honored to have the opportunity to introduce our guest speaker, and we welcome his son. I'm going to have you guys stand if you don't mind. Kevin Trager, his son, and Landon Brantley, his son-in-law. And Steve, we were so happy to recognize your father, Bernard Trager, as one of Henry Heiser's heroes back in the day. So he's a very, very special man to all of us. Steve Trager is Executive Chair of Republic Bank and Republic Bancorp. His service as a highly successful banker, community leader, and philanthropist is tremendous. His bio was circulated in Spark, so I won't read his extensive business and civic accomplishments because I know you want to hear from Steve, but I do want to share a few highlights. A Louisville native, Steve attended Atherton High School and later was inducted into the school's Hall of Fame. He graduated from the University of Texas, then earned his JD from the University of Louisville School of Law. Steve was honored with the U of L Law School's Distinguished Alumni Award. And later, in 2023, he would receive the U of L Alumni of the Year Award, a top honor, along with the David and Betty Jones Senior Legacy Award. And that's just to name just a couple of his many distinguished awards he's received. Under his leadership, Republic Bank and Republic Bancorp has greatly expanded to 47 banking centers throughout 5 states, Kentucky, Indiana, Florida, Ohio, and Tennessee, with assets of over $6 billion. Steve loves Louisville, and it's most evident with the 23 announcement in May of Republic Bank's major investment and relocation plan, signaling a renewed commitment to revitalization in the heart of our city. The Trager family and Republic Bank have provided generous investments in the community. Whenever we drive down the street, in fact, coming here, I saw Spalding University. I've seen it many times, but I saw it again today, and it just reminded me of the impact you and your family have had on our community and region, and really throughout the state. They've invested in civic organizations such as the Louisville Weston New YMCA, the Louisville Urban League Sports and Learning Center, the Trager Family Jewish Community Center, and they've generously invested and helped transform the University of Louisville campus with multiple significant projects. As a civic leader, he's personally been involved in many lead business and educational institutions and nonprofit organizations, including past chair of the Kentucky Bankers Association, the University of Louisville Board of Overseers, and Leadership Kentucky. Additionally, Steve has served on the boards of Bellarmine University, the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis's Louisville branch, and the Louisville Regional Airport Authority. And believe it or not, I am just doing a few highlights, you all. Currently, he serves on boards of the University of Louisville President's Council and Board of Advisors and the Louisville Economic Development Alliance. And Steve has been instrumental in juvenile diabetes initiatives, the arts, and supporting local community nonprofit organizations. As noted in the Sparks write-up, he's been recognized with numerous prestigious awards, including Louisvillian of the Year. So please join me in welcoming the Louisville of the Year, the man of the day. We're so glad to have you.
You know, I got to tell you, when Julie called me, I don't know, 2 months ago, I think it was, and asked me to speak to Rotary, I thought, this is outstanding. This is such an honor because Rotary is kind of what we're about. You know, it's about community, it's about commitment. And you know, whenever I've interacted with Rotarians in the past, it's so cool how all of you all share that common bond. So this is something special. It is an incredible honor for me to be able to spend this time with you guys. So I plugged into artificial intelligence, like what I should call this talk. And you know, everybody at the bank's trying to get me to use it a little bit more. It came up with something that I thought was pretty good, and I'm very proud to talk about. And that is Republic Bank, a legacy of growth and community commitment. And it's so nice of Maria and Ken to mention my dad, because when you talk about Republic Bank, my dad being the founder, you can see his fingerprints even to this day, and he passed 14 years ago, are very much a part of everything we do. So to talk about my dad and kind of how he started Republic Bank, you know, he was a great American success story. He came from nothing. He spent a few years at U of L, but he couldn't afford to graduate. So if you look at his characteristics that are so prevalent in Republic Bank and a part of our success, he had a work ethic that was second to none. Incredible commitment to family. He had a genuine care for people and community. And he was also an unbelievable visionary. I mean, back in the day when I first started with Republic Bank, I didn't really totally comprehend, you know, some of the things he was doing. And now I look back on him and I'm thinking, that was just brilliant. So Republic, interestingly enough, was a second career for my dad. You know, my dad came out of school and he started a finance company in the late 1950s. It was called Union Trust. He grew Union Trust with the help of his partner, and they operated in several states, Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, some of the states that we're in today. And ultimately, he sold commercial credit, he sold Union Trust to commercial credit in 1975. But he stayed they actually wanted my dad to move to Baltimore. They were based out of Baltimore. And my mom said, you know what, I love Louisville. He loved Louisville. He said, you know, we're not going to move to Baltimore. So he continued to work for and manage their Union Trust component for commercial credit for a number of years. So when my dad was in his 50s, he was always envious of banks because banks had access to federally insured deposits. It was a much less expensive funding mechanism. So, you know, he became aware of a tiny bank in Baghdad, Kentucky. It was known as People's Bank of Baghdad. And in 1978, he was able to buy, with the help of a bunch of investors, our initial investors, the People's Bank of Baghdad and Shelbyville. That was 1978. At the time, he was still working for commercial credit. And I remember, because I was in high school, I remember he and my mom going out to Shelbyville every weekend to look through loan files and work with the people out there. He would work every weekend at People's Bank of Baghdad. So at that time, you know, interestingly, you couldn't branch. You couldn't freely branch across county lines in Kentucky. So he had there was a particular type of charter, which was a savings and loan charter, that you could branch outside of your county. And he wanted that ability to couple with his bank in Shelbyville. So he found a troubled state-chartered savings and loan in Benton, Kentucky. And I remember, because I was in college, he said, I want you to come with me. And we went and we met with some board members at Kentucky Dam Village back in, I don't know, I think it was like 1980. And they were troubled, and they had 300 shareholders, and, you know, here's a guy and his son from Louisville, Kentucky. We met with them, and we talked about, or my dad talked about, how we could partner with them. He didn't want to buy their shares. He wanted to be part of the community. So he wanted to keep all 300 of their shareholders and invest and then help run that savings and loan. So he was able to acquire the Valley Building and Loan Company out of Benton, Kentucky in 1981. And it was a state-chartered savings and loan. He actually converted that to a federal charter, which at the time, and probably to this day, was the only state-chartered conversion into a federal charter that had ever occurred. And then with that charter, he was able to branch, you know, our Lexington branch as a result of that, our Frankfurt branch as a result of that. A lot of our branching emanated from that charter. Now, his next venture was, he of course, he wanted to be in Jefferson County. And we weren't able to come into Jefferson County, or he wasn't able to. So he had bought for $30,000, 10 years prior, a dormant bank charter. It was called Franklin Bank in Jefferson County. And so now that he had the two other entities, he activated that charter. And in January of 1982, the Republic Bank, the first Republic Bank, was opened in the old dance studio at Bardstown Road in Tyler Lane. And that was my first job at Republic Bank was in December of 1981. I was coming home, I was home from college. And he said we had a mobile unit that we were going to put up there, go run up there and show them where the line is. It's freezing cold, I went up there. That was my first contribution to Republic Bank. So ultimately we had these three charters. The banking laws changed, and it became cumbersome to manage three charters, have three sets of regulators, et cetera. So we combined the charters in 1993. That was another one of my jobs early on at Republic Bank, to encompass what is now Republic Bank of Kentucky. The next big development for us which was a big deal for us, was in 1998, we went public. And we became a public company that gave us great access to capital, et cetera, et cetera. So as we look forward to today, we are very proud to be the largest Kentucky-owned financial institution with, as Julie mentioned, 47 locations in 5 states, Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, Florida, and Tennessee. You know, we have been blessed to achieve some very nice success. We've gotten recognition as one of the top 50 banks in the country. Our shareholders have done very well. We were identified by Newsweek as one of America's best banks. In Louisville, we were identified as a top 10 corporate philanthropist. And so we've been blessed to achieve a lot of success. And as I thought for today, I thought, what defines that success. You know, we never wanted to be just a traditional bank. That is a big part of what we do. But we have some uniqueness to us that I think creates our success. Uniqueness number one, we are a publicly traded company. I'm proud to say our shareholders have done very well. But we are privately controlled. Our inside investor group controls over 50% of the stock at Republic Bank. That has been an incredible advantage because if you are a true public company, you are forced to make decisions in the short term. We've always been in a position that we could do the things for our people, for our community, for our shareholders. And that's our tagline. Enable communities, shareholders, associates to thrive. We can do certain things as a result of our control that I'm proud to say have been incredibly valuable in the long run. That other public companies, they have to produce good quarter after good quarter. Now I'm proud to say we have produced good quarter after good quarter. But it's as a result of this uniqueness, this license for long-term thinking. The second uniqueness of Republic Bank, and this is what my dad was all about, is we care and do things in the community because he came from nothing. There were people that he was the beneficiary of philanthropy. He had everything he wanted. His great pride and pleasure, and I think at Republic Bank, our current great pride and pleasure is Dixie knows, Logan knows, the family knows, is to create success and share it with the people who have made our success and with those who aren't as blessed. So we take unbelievable pride in doing that. It is incredibly rewarding. And, you know, Julie mentioned some of the things that we've been able to do. And we are committed to doing that. If we do good, we're going to make sure we share. So, you know, we're unbelievably proud of the things we've done throughout the community. You know, the Republic Bank Foundation, YMCA, in the West End. I mean, not a day goes by where somebody doesn't tell me how that's impacted their lives. You know, the Trager Family Jewish Community Center. Our Jewish Community Center is 30% Jewish, 70% non-Jewish. And it's a reflection of our beliefs, our faiths. One of our family members said to me, you know, the Jewish Community Center has always been welcoming to people who aren't welcome elsewhere. I'm unbelievably proud of that. You know, we bleed red. My dad went to U of L for a few years. Most recently, in the last few years, we have been the financial bank backing behind the Trager Institute for Aging and the Republic Bank Foundation Clinic. And I don't know, just last week, I had somebody come up to me and say, you know, all of us know how we have an aging population in the needs because we have parents, we have siblings, etc., in the needs for the aging population. So incredibly proud of that. You know, we have to bleed blue sometimes. I want to be part of the BBN. So we actually, one of the things I'm really proud of, you know, my dad was a veteran, and he was always thankful for the service that veterans have given. So at UK, I'm really proud. We have our name, it's the Republic Bank Foundation Veterans Center. UK has 1,800 veterans that are furthering their education there. So this is a gathering and support center. So we've been very proud. That's a uniqueness to us. And then if you look at our business lines, you know, our business lines are a very unique thing about us is that, you know, most public companies, most public banks, they have one reporting segment. We actually have 5 different reporting segments. which shows the diversity of our business line. We've got our traditional bank, 47 locations. You know, what we make loans, gather deposits through those 47 locations. But we also have 4 other business segments. Mortgage warehouse lending, which is a business segment throughout the country. We are one of the largest bank providers of electronic tax refunds, where we have 2.5 million customers around the country. We have prepaid cards that we issue around the country. And then we have small dollar loan products that we're able to distribute with the help of partners throughout the country. So that's a uniqueness. So what does the future hold for Republic Bank? God, you know, yesterday our board passed our 3-year strategic plan. We used to do a 7-year strategic plan. Then we did a 5-year strategic plan. Now we have a 3-year strategic plan. And I got to tell you, I'm not sure what we're going to be doing a month from now. But in my dad's legacy, we were always about vision and opportunity. And unlike any other financial institution, because we're all subject to a lot of regulations, a lot of bureaucracy, our great strength is reacting to the opportunity the environment presents to us. And that's how we've gotten into all these unusual business lines that we're in. So I think that will always be a part of our culture. We've got 1,000 associates. We have phenomenal people. We are able to do some things for our people that others have trouble duplicating. And our people know that we care. And as a result of that, they take great care of our customers and create the growth, the nice growth that we've had. So what does the future hold? You know, it's hard to say. I know I'm incredibly excited. We're better positioned for growth than we've ever been. We have excess capital. Every investment banker would tell us we have too much capital. But you know, that's part of our uniqueness. And that gives us powder to pursue opportunity when we want to pursue opportunity. So for those of you all that are customers, we very much appreciate it. We'd always welcome more customers, because I think our customers and our associates and our shareholders at Republic Bank take great pleasure in knowing when you support Republic Bank, what we make here stays here. And that's a big belief, and I think our customers take great pleasure in it. So it's my pleasure to work with Dixie and Logan to manage this company so that we're in a position to do those good things for our associates in the communities that we serve. So again, thank you. It's been an incredible honor. I think we're going to do some questions. I can go on for another half an hour.
Please come on to ask questions. Thank you, Steve, for joining us today. Amazing person. Thanks for all you've done in the community. Certainly wasn't mentioned Kentucky Derby Festival. You've been incredibly impactful keeping the festival going with several events. The current one, Bourbonville, which is just an awesome event. So thank you for that. Come on up.
My name is Carl Kozlow. One of the questions that I have is the training that you got by Bernard. I went when I came back to Louisville, I was introduced to your dad, interviewed for a job, didn't get one. But you were at the very, I think almost the mailroom, okay, of the company when I showed up. So when people look at you now, okay, being extremely successful and whatever, it's great to hear about it, but I think what I'd like to know is what your father started with and when he made you and your brother do to learn the business from the ground up. Because I think it's really important. And one of the things I'll tell you that I remember 50 years after I was transferred, we bought a condo. The condo wasn't done. They didn't want, your associates didn't want to approve the final mortgage. You came in, said, I will take over. I will personally go look at your home and make sure it's done. You did. 2 days later, you called and said the air conditioners were installed. You're good to go. So I think it's important that you convey to this group that you didn't start off as the golden boy. And this is where I am, because I'm not positive, but I think you were delivering the mail while I was there.
Well, you know, my dad was just an incredibly decent human being, you know, and he checked these boxes that, you know, for somebody that worked as hard as he worked, he was so driven, but he always had time for family too. You know, it's amazing. He created this company and he never missed anything from a family perspective. So just being around that and witnessing that was I couldn't help but pick it up. And you know, he had a work ethic. I mean, we didn't have brilliant educational backgrounds, but he had a work ethic. And as I mentioned earlier, you know, he just took great pride in caring for people. You know, because he was the beneficiary, as I mentioned, of philanthropy. So he was a great assessor of risk. He really understood people, you know, and that's a big part of lending. And, you know, he just always took great care of people. And in turn, I think people cared for him. So you know, it doesn't always work out. It's difficult at times for people to work with family members, to work with their parent. I mean, it was never really difficult for me. He was good at it. I mean, he was good at giving me just enough rope, you know, to let me do some stupid things. And somebody asked me one time, you know, how much control does your dad exert? You know, does he make the decisions? I said, you know, he always gave me the freedom to make decisions, and he gave me that ability. But at the same time, I had such admiration for his decision-making ability that I was kind of hard-pressed not to go in his prescribed direction. So, I don't know, that's the way I always saw it. I was very blessed. Ken?
Steve, thank you for taking the time to come speak to Rotary. We really appreciate that. And thank you also, we think in Louisville about economic opportunities and businesses that leave. And you know, I know your dad, he could have left and gone to Baltimore and gone other places, but you guys are really committed to Louisville, and it's made a difference in Louisville, particularly with your giving attitude. But when I think of Republic Bank, I kind of reminds me of my friend Junior Bridgman, and he had a comment that when he explained the success of his business, he said, when you care about your people, they care about you. And that's the feeling I get when I go to the Republic Bank in Springhurst and Claire takes care of me. It's just a different feeling than a bank where you just feel like a number. And I think that's, you know, as a retail customer, that's a huge part of your success. So, but my question is, back after Breonna Taylor, COVID, downtown Louisville, I was in your office and you said, you know, Ken, it's a bad situation when the only time there's rush hour traffic downtown is on the weekend. And there was nobody downtown, and you brought all your people back downtown, and you were committed to downtown Louisville, and that was a big decision. I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about that and you know, how that's impacted the bank and your trajectory. Thank you.
You know, it's home. And when we had operational functions spread around, we had some downtown, we had some at Springhurst, and some at Harrisburg. And, you know, there's just something about having everybody together. My office has always been downtown. And I'm a believer in downtown. I know how important downtown. You know, it's one of those things, you only do it because you're from here and you care. And the other thing I had a lot of people comment on is when there was the most challenging times downtown, there were some broken windows. And most, if not all, of the folks that were downtown, they boarded their windows up. And we replaced our windows immediately. And I had more people say something to me about that, how meaningful it was that we replaced our windows. These things have meaning to people. So I was very proud of that. And, you know, it took some effort to move people downtown. We moved about 130 people downtown. But, you know, now that people are there, we're able to do some things in our building. And, you know, I think people appreciate that and are glad to be downtown. Walt?
Hey, Steve, thanks for all you do here in Louisville. I do have a question buried in here somewhere, but one thing I did want to say is that your wife, Amy, was the mother figure to all the boys at the West End School for years and years and years, and it wouldn't be the kind of school it is today if it weren't for her. Make sure that she hears that I said that.
As you know, she's very passionate about the West End School. She was on the West End School board for a while. And she's not on the board anymore, but when she served on this board, she was not a figurehead. I mean, she goes there, she washes clothes for the kids. Those kids are at our house all the time. She's calling their high school counselors to make sure they're on a path. You know, it's to an extent, it's the way we do things.
It really is. It just exemplifies you and your family. Thank you. My question is, can you tell a quick story about something that really surprised you in a good way about Louisville or anywhere in your journey with Republic?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Wherever you go, you run into people from Louisville. And, you know, I went to the University of Texas. You know, I've been different places. But, you know, at the end of the day, you look at my very best friends and cherished relationships. You know, they were kids I grew up with here. And many of them are spread around the country. But, you know, they still get off on good stuff that happens in U of L basketball. Something good happens, you know, we're texting each other. When's Mikel Brown coming back? You know, whatever it is. It's still a very common bond. And, you know, Alan Rosenberg, Ken Grossman, Phil was here. You know, we kind of grew up together in some of the same circles. So it's just, you know, it's in your blood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve, I'm just sitting here thinking about everything you said. Much gets back to me. I was in that mobile unit on Youngstown Road. It was amazing. And I just never forget my grandmother talking about your dad. Apparently, he sold flowers to get through college. And she said,
that was before he sold shoes.
Yeah. She was
Hellman's in Indiana.
So she would say, he's the example of what you can do. You know, he did come from nothing and made something of himself. But I've been a customer since day one. And I just remember Scott telling me, I want your business. Gotta have your business. And he wouldn't let go. He got my business. And y'all have been great. It does feel very personal. And my law firm work. And personal work. And I told you the story this morning, and I just wanted to say this. Of all days, today was the day my wife had a check that was fraudulently, it was discovered to be fraudulent. They called all things that I'm going to see you for this. And your department identified it miraculously, called her today and handled it. And it just, there are a lot of little things the bank does that just never ceases to amaze me. My question though in this is, what are you all doing for customers and fraud and all the things that are going on today?
Well, we have a lot of attention to that. Through artificial intelligence, we have certain mechanisms that can identify things that look out of order. I mean, fraud costs us in a bad year. People ask me what keeps me awake at night. Historically, if you had some loan flaws, that would cause failure of the bank. I would say my number one concern is fraud. So it's the technological mechanics that identify a decent chunk of this stuff, but it's also the humans. It is the folks that we have that are in a banking center that see something related to an account, that care enough to reach out to the customer and verify. So I'm going to say it's almost equally split between those two. And I think our mechanics are good, but I will tell you whether it's detecting fraud, creating success, you look at any success or disaster avoidance that we've ever had at Republic Bank, there's usually a person behind that.
That today they call felt very personal. It wasn't like someone who lived on an app, somebody called things. And I think that kind of reflects back on the way we do business.
We have unbelievably special people. I'm incredibly thankful. And, we're able to do one of the things where we had a great year in 2025. Very proud of that. So we said, we want to make sure we figure out a way to share that with everybody. So we have 1,000 people. We have about 400 that are on some kind of bonus or incentive plan. So they very much get rewarded. But then we have about 600 folks who are assistant vice presidents and non-officers. And we said, you know what? We've had a great year. Who knows? We want to continue to have great year after great year. These folks, and we did a big technological conversion this year, so that required a lot of extra effort from a lot of folks, a lot of hand-holding for customers, et cetera. And we said, we're going to pay all 650 people that are AV, assistant vice presidents and non-officers, we're going to pay them $900. Special bonus, $900 a person. And I mean, we've had people, calling us in tears. Logan gets, this was a big part of Logan's idea. And, he says, are you okay if I share all these emails with you? People thanking me, or thanking him and thanking me to an extent. I'm like, no, I want to see every single one of them. It means a lot to me. Thank you.
Okay, hi Steve.
Hey, Maria.
Maria from Harbor House of Louisville. Couple of quick things. One, I do remember the trailer on Bardstown Road because I was at PNC down the street and they moved in this trailer and I said, who in the world's coming into our market? Republic Bank, are you kidding? So you've come a long way. Congratulations to that.
Thanks.
Secondly, your dad, when he came to Harbor House and got to know us, he became our famous, and he termed himself as the duck plucker. So be very careful how you say that very quickly. But he was a duck plucker for our Kentucky Derby. And one year, and I'll leave you with a story. One year, he came out and it was real choppy water, and Carol Jones Clay was with him. She was always his handler. And he goes to bend into the water to pick up the duck, and she grabs a hold of his belt loop on the back, because she said, he's not going in the river on my time and dime. That is not happening. So he stands up, and the three of us are standing there, and Bernard leans over to Carol and says, Carol, I believe you can let go of my trousers now. I have no bad teeth.
He loved plucking the ducks.
Yes. We loved having him. And Traeger's even won a car one year from the duck race. And this year's our 24th.
He plucked Kevin's duck.
Yes. Here we go. So thank you and wish you all the success in the world and the love that you share with the community. And I wanted to say something with your son and nephew here too. So thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
This is a appreciation. The Rotary pin with the four-way test on the back, so thank you. Just can't, think about you all the time when I swim at the Public Bank Y. It's awesome. I play soup at the Jewish Community Center. I remember when I called you up with a harebrained idea to do the concert at the Young Center Plaza to try to spur downtown lunch crowd. I said, sure, let's do it. And had some great bands there. That's when I first, really appreciate the Crashers because they brought a big crowd down. So, just whatever. You're just local. So, thank you very much. Next week's meeting will feature David Horn, the president of Tag Swag. Saw him a few days ago. He's very excited to speak with us. His talk will be Built to Last, Perseverance, Culture, and Growth in a Family Business. We will be inducting more new members and recognizing some Paul Harris Fellows, and we'll welcome more students from Silver Creek High School's Academy of Business and Finance. Thank you all for joining us today. Hope you learned a lot. If you or your business would like to be recognized as a sponsor of those next week at Centraline, we'll love to hear from you. And please register by noon Monday. If you're do it today, since it's beautiful out. This weekend it might be too cold to do it. And if you want to learn more about what is Rotary, John Bush is waiting, one of our former best dorm presidents ever as well. Our meeting is adjourned.